All right, I'm here live tonight. No particular thing except Dolphins talk or whatever you guys want to talk to. If there's anybody there, this is something I wanted to do. As I said, I don't know. I hope everyone's doing well. First off, I don't know how long. Again, how I'm going to be much longer. I'm going to be doing this, but I just want to talk to you guys because I've talked to some of you for 3-4 years now, and I just want to spend time. If there's any questions you have, anything you can see what I'm doing wrong, you think you disagree with, agree with, or want to talk about, I just want to be here for you guys because to me, loyalty, relationships it's what it's all about. I know it's clicks and you want to get your groove on and get your numbers up and all that stuff. So I'm going to be here for a little bit. And if people pop in, I'll sit here and chat with you and whatever you want, man. I really wish I could see a lot of you people face to face, shake your hand, drink a beer with you, eat a steak, hang out. But we live in a digital age. So anyway, this is me just hanging here. Obviously, it's a bad day hearing the stupidity of Hill. I know it happened yesterday, but I'm so busy studying football and stuff. I miss all the little things when they pop on the radar right away. So we could talk about the Hill thing. We could talk about direction of the Dolphins, this draft. I clearly think that we're in a bad spot, and I think the Hill thing makes it possibly even worse. But overall, hey, Captain for life, brother. Thanks, not me being here by myself. How you doing, man? I've been talking to you for how many years have I been talking to you, man? I really appreciate all your support. How you doing, man? Really, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm actually I'm coming for I had almost died a couple years ago. I'm finally like almost 2.5, 3 years later. I'm finally starting to come back to life. Got some good stuff on my plate over here. Doing some interesting stuff. I'm doing well, man. You doing good? You got to come on the live one night, man. What do you think about this Hill thing? You happy? Think it's a big deal? Overblown? I don't know. For me, it just really he's the canary in a coal mine. He's the tip of the iceberg, or maybe the bottom of the iceberg. I don't know how I'm going to put it. It kind of sucks. If you're going to suck, at least have guys that you like on your team that are not jackasses. And maybe I just don't like guys hitting women, hitting kids, being a menace. You're a jacked up athlete and you're going to menace kids and women and stuff. I don't know. Does the NFL get involved with a new personal conduct rule? Will investigate the cheater. Oh, I don't know. This guy's been skating for so long. I feel bad for him in a lot of ways because you have to understand he was just a little kid at one point. And then somewhere along the way, that dark side that we all have got built up. And then because of his talent, he was allowed to escape. And when you get punished, man, it really can help you go in the right direction. Punishment is a great tool to wake up. I feel bad for him. I hope he does get punished. I hope the guy wakes up. I know somewhere inside the guy, it's not who he wants to be, but he's been coddled and he's lived a Teflon life. I hope they do. They should. How many times does this have to happen? Eventually something serious is going to happen out of this. If it hasn't already, I mean, you go read the past. Everyone's gone soon. Get Milrow. Yeah, there's another guy too that people like. Is it Milrow? There's another guy I like a lot too. He's like a Ben Roethlisberger, like semi kind of guy. I know that Alf's big on him. Big guy, tough guy. I can't remember his name though. I'm so bad with these names. I got hit in the head too much. But there's a few quarterbacks. I think that you shouldn't really shoot in the second or even third round on these guys because it's really a risk. But once that fourth round hits, and even maybe a little trade up with those 2 fourth-round picks or whatever, I think they need to go quarterback. And it's not a knock on Tua. It's just the game. We're resetting everything, and you should have as many good quarterbacks, even if you're a good team. I mean, Joe Montana and Steve Young. Unfortunately, it's the life of a Dolphin fan. I know, right? Yeah, you guys get put. I wish I could do this. There's guys who know how to do things. They put like little, like voting things in the corner. I got to get my game on. You guys think he's going to get suspended? It sucks, man. You know what? I lost, as a fan, my whole life as a Dolphin fan. I started in 78, the 80s. We got to the Super Bowl twice. We lost the 90s. But, whether it was real or not, I didn't have a father. My father was a vicious man, and he left early. And Don Shula and Dan Marino, Brian Cox, even though with the fingers, the guy was a good guy. It was great to have those guys. It made you feel good even when you lost. Now, though, it's losing, and it's just constant dysfunction and stupidity. It's real annoying. So many fans, like these guys I talked to on this thing here, man, they started watching like in early 2000s or a little bit after that. And that's got to be a rough ride, man. I still hang. I got I saw my cat broke my damn reel, chipped it over there, man. I got that thing in 1999 or early 2000. My mom got it for me, God rest her soul. And I had that thing literally packed away all this whole time. And I'm like, I want the viewers to see it. I want to finally use this stupid thing. And my cat chips it. But that was great back then, man. Because even you can't always expect to win a Super Bowl, but you want to be in it. You want the thrill of believing. I mean, really believing, not the hype jobs that we get. And you want guys you respect. Dan Marino, watching him go out there with those bad knees, and he was like a superhero. He was like this gunslinger, in the OK Corral or worse, the Alamo. You knew you were going to lose, but he was going to shoot the best he could until he went down. And it was some kind of honor in that. There was some kind of majesty in the tragedy of his losing, and I just want that for fans. I want it for myself. I've had a little bit of a ride, didn't have the glory year ride, but I just feel like a lot of Dolphin fans, like for a long time, they just haven't had that thing. Ricky, people didn't like Ricky. I love Ricky. I thought Ricky was the last, offensive, real powerful heart, to get behind. There's a lot of defensive players. So I hope, man, Dolphin fans, you got to think about it. Dolphin fans, they get a lot of stuff. They could be a little fair weather. They could be a little like, following the hopium, but this fan base has taken such a beating and they keep coming. And when I got hired by these guys a long time ago, writing articles for them, I said, why did you choose the Dolphins? He's like, we did some analytics, and like the Dolphin fans, they're one of the most fervent and passionate about their team. And it says a lot when you're losing and you don't get anywhere. So I really want to feel that, man. I want to feel that, even whether I'm doing this thing or not. I think so many Dolphin fans, they deserve better. I'm not giving up on the season, but man, it's tough. For me, I think the season's going to be very, very difficult. I think the odds, especially now you got Tyreek. Like, think about it. You got Tyreek now. He quit on the team. He's had all these off-field issues. He's got another one. How on earth? Did you hear the audio of his wife? Like, that was genuine. How do you make him team captain? And then how you don't? And that's just where we're at. We keep taking this rotted foundation and keep putting stucco on it. And yeah, there's a chance, but look, there's some good teams in this AFC. It's not going to be an easy schedule. We're thin, no matter how, even if we draft well. If we get really lucky with health, maybe. But a few injuries, and we get them all the time. It's going to be very, very tough. I think the AFC is going to be AFC is going to be very competitive. I think the Jets are going to be competitive. I don't think they'll be good, but I think they'd be more disciplined. I think that even Fields, if they got a good defense, and with Glenn there and a little infusion of talent, they can keep it tight and he can run that football and throw it a little bit and make these tough games. And then you never know. And we got to get out of the AFC East first. So never give up. Marino, that's why I love Marino and Shula. They were true warriors. Marino, the only time I ever saw, and I watched every game just about Marino played. And I rewatch it too. We got a VCR, record. I got the Jets fake spike someplace somewhere. But he never quit, no matter what the score was. Like, and you could, it's not like a fake quit. You could see the fire in his eyes. It was volcanic. I did see the light go out in that Jaguars playoff game. That was the only time I ever saw him quit. But that's what you got to be as a fan, You just, but you got to be realistic. Unfortunately, my time here doing this thing, I've found that there's a lot of unrealistic fans. I understand why. I understand the desperation. Desperation, man. It's not easy because you just want to buy into stuff. You want to believe in things. You want to look, and say, but you got to be realistic. What has derailed us the last 3 seasons? Injuries. I would disagree on that. The problem with the injuries thing was, okay, so we'll say offensive line. I like to talk offensive line. So people will say, well, the offensive line injuries derailed us. Jackson's always injured. We relied on Wynn. We brought Tehran in here, and Tehran was the biggest piece. Those 3 guys right there, that the chance of them getting injured is pretty high. And then you stick with Eichenberg, and so I don't think injuries are the big injuries. There's teams that have had tremendous injuries. Look at the Detroit Lions last year. I've never seen that many injuries on a defense. But when you build the depth right, you can't go get Hill and then spend all those picks on Hill, spend 2 first rounds on Waddle, spend all those picks on Chubb on 3 players. You know how much depth and rolling of the dice to get a stud that you missed out on, along with, a second and third for Eichenberg and 2 fourths for Kinley and a third on Dieter and a second for Rosen. The injuries played a part, but it was really the grease. The skids were greased all the way from 2019, wasting a pick on Rosen, wasting a 3rd round pick on Dieter, and then wasting all those other picks. We went from, it's almost unheard of to go from the youngest team in 2020 to the oldest team in 24. And that's a sign of bad GMing. It's a sign of not utilizing your capital. So the injuries did play a part, but if you had drafted a young, healthier, tackle instead of Tehran, who, as much as I love him, if you had a better tackle instead of Jackson, you could have moved off him. You could have moved him off for Morgan Moses, and he played phenomenal for the years that Jackson was here, and just make Jackson back up. And if you didn't draft or stick with Eichenberg and Jones, if the offensive line had stayed healthy, this offense would have kept going. The defense wouldn't have been on the field so much, likely get less injuries, and you probably would have put more points on. You might have pulled yourself out some stuff. So injuries played a part, but the construction of this team is, just sit down, just go look. Think about that. 2nd round pick, and you got nothing from Rosen. Dieter, he was terrible. 3rd round pick. And then you go Noah, Jackson, and then you rush to it in. Then you get a 2nd and 3rd for Eichenberg, 2 fourths for Kinley, all those picks on Hill, all those picks on Chubb. That's not a good recipe. That if you didn't do that and you had injuries or whatever, I'd be more apt, but team was built terribly. So yeah, I know. I honestly, I don't like the guy, but I hope he learns, because we're all screwed up, man. I truly believe that every single one of us in the right circumstance could do anything that any evil person's ever done. And some are more inclined to go that direction. Some get better lessons at certain periods of time. For him to be a superstar and to get to skate on all his stuff, it's hurt him. And it's a shame. He's a human being. I don't like him. My father was not a good guy, let's say. And so I don't like that. I don't like men who hit women, and I don't like, but he's a victim of the talent he had, and he never had the strength or the whatever. He might have been predisposed to narcissism, but it's a shame. But I hope that he gets a firm lesson. And the lesson is not really not necessarily to punish him, because he hasn't done anything totally like, eating people and stuff and killed them. But I hope it's so harsh that he takes a real stock of his life, because this guy's got so much, and he's going out and he's having all these kids, and he's not taking care of them. He might take care of them financially, but and Detroit couldn't win the playoffs because of injuries, and Goff choked. Yeah. But they ran into a wall too, man. They had a tough game that game, but their defense was literally gutted. I mean, they lost like 6-7 starters. That's worse than we ever experienced, except in that last Kansas City game. But look what they did in the regular season. We crapped out in the regular season, and they kept on finding ways to fight, but it kept picking up more injuries. But it was the offensive line. Yeah, and Goff choked too. He did. He did too. There's no doubt about that. So let me see. Let's see. 23rd Tennessee, when we were 9-3, was when Connor took his knee. Yeah. And then who did we start though? We had Cotton. We had Jackson. It was Jackson in there. I think Jackson was in there, and Eichenberg. And we still could have won it, and we should have won it. But defensively, we collapsed. I mean, the defense gave us all those points. And if you go back and watch the game, it wasn't just that. So this is a very critical moment. I'm not making it up. You can go see. So all game they played us in nickel. And it was like the second drive on offense till second to last drive. And they came out in a 4-3. And we wanted to run the football. We had to run the football. But when we got to the line of scrimmage, the 4-3 was there, and we couldn't really run them on the nickel, and we couldn't audible out and attack that 4-3 with our passing game because we had no audible system. And we ran the ball twice on a 4-3, and that shut us down. So it wasn't just the injuries. And you go back and you look, and there was a big coverage blown between Ramsey and Kohu, that big crosser. They didn't know exactly who to go. So there was a lot to it. But no one in the league is going to have Eichenberg as a starter, Cotton as the depth, and pay what they pay for Jackson to start. We had Connor get injured, but you look at KC. KC played without a tackle all year, and they had to move their guard to tackle. I mean, yeah, they got a great team, but they had depth. They had better coaching. So I wouldn't say it was all just that. I think injuries, coaching, bad depth, choking, a lot of stuff. No. I mean, he would have to be like Zach Tom. Zach Tom had the greatest measurables in like 30 or 40 years. And he's 6'3", 303. And he should be playing center. He'd be an all-world center. Maybe even guard. I think center, it would be his best spot. He would be unbelievable. But he's been playing unbelievable at tackle. But even Agba blew him up a couple times when he played him because he just is susceptible to power. And so 6'2", 280, man, that's a lot. That's a huge, I mean, you've got to be like 1 in a million of the 1 in a million that make in the NFL. It would take a lot. I mean, guys, just size is, it's like I said, when I was in high school, I wasn't big, but I never, one guy, Willie Garrity, he got left back twice, and he just hit me so hard. I never experienced anything like that, but everything else was like, when I went to play in college, I hadn't played for a couple of years. I decided to smoke weed and live like Jim Morrison for a couple of years. And, I was trying to get my feeling back, and I was a DT. I would drive home every day. The guy was like 320. And I came through the hole. I juked out of the way of the linebacker, spun off him. And as I spun off him, the D tackle had been driven back, but he was like right there. I was like, let me truck this guy. I hit that wall. I was 185, and I was working out with the DNs. I was really strong. Dude, I was like, I should have ran into a stone wall. And so size is it's a huge thing to overcome. And I wouldn't. I mean, you go look at, who do we got? What's his name? We got the tackle. Haley. What's it? I can't remember his name right now. The tackle we got, and then also the center we got. Those guys are smaller. Hayes is the tackle, and then I can't remember the center. It's all about strength and size and power, and you could be a freak like strength athlete and have unbelievable technique, but it's hard. Dwight Stevenson at 250 was unbelievable. And there's some guys at 290 range. I think Kelsey was kind of smaller. Mac might have been a little bit smaller, but it's hard. 280 is, man, that's a lot to ask, brother. In Dad, what's going on? I have a theory that leaders and culture setters are more likely to be players who play positions that aren't glorified AK trench players. Do you think there's a pattern exists? I don't know. I think that the problem is ego. And a real leader is the one that, as a Captain America would say, lays on the barbed wire for all the people. But receivers, they have a tendency to be me kind of guys. But I noticed, I mean, Ronnie Lott was a leader. Lawrence Taylor was a leader. Dan Marino was a leader. Walter Payton was a leader. I'm sure there was some tight ends out there, but I don't know any specifics. Offensive lineman, definitely Tehran. We know that. I think he could be anywhere. It's hard to really be a leader, a true leader. You know, Campbell, look at Campbell, man. That guy was a true leader. But you got to have a selflessness. The passion's got to be more than your performance or your stats or your ego to really be a leader. I mean, you could be a leader, but then as you saw with Tyreek, when things don't go right, you got to be the one. I mean, look at Campbell. We were in that Jets game, and he's on the sideline screaming at people, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And he's 39 years old. You know, he's a Hall of Famer, true Hall of Famer. Hill, he's a Hall of Famer, but I think Campbell's like a bigger talent. Like if there was like the inner shrine, I'd put him over Hill. So maybe. I think even Brew. Oh yeah, Brew is definitely too small. Yeah, he's definitely too small. I know some people disagree with me on that. But you know, I don't know. I find it like it, people will tell me I'm crazy. And then if I say, hey, I told you I was right and I'm right, then I'm a bad guy. But at the beginning of the year, I said Brewers struggles with power. And I had certain guys that are gurus that would come on my channel and they're the gurus and they're telling me, but then by the end of the year, they're like, oh yeah, he struggles with power and he can't move people. So yeah, I wouldn't. If I was building a team, Brewer wouldn't be my center and backup. And why do you think that he went from the Titans and he was terrible to Dolphins? He was good because we run outside zone all day and we throw the ball 2.04 seconds. So it evades his weaknesses. Hey, Dolphin Don, sup up? What's going on, man? How you doing? You doing good, brother? Yeah, I'm just doing this thing, man. I want to hang out with you guys, say hi, let you know I really appreciate everything you guys have done. You guys have been so loyal and so cool. So I just want to, chill. I hope you guys are all doing well. That nothing will make me happier. Seems like Hill was made a leader simply to put responsibilities on. Yeah, but it's hard not to because he's such a talent. Maybe he'll bust his ego. Streaming with the boys tomorrow? No. Who's the boys? Who's streaming tomorrow? Who's streaming? I'm not there. I'm kind of like, what I kind of think like in some ways, this content community is kind of like high school. And I find it funny in high school, I was like the bad boy, outsider, artist, loner type. Looks like things are playing themselves. What boys, man? Tell me the boys. I'll be there if they want me to. Have him be responsible. Yeah, but maybe that might have been the plan. That might have been the plan, but you can't. What is that whole thing? The scorpion and the toad. The scorpion says to the toad, "Let me take me to the other side." He's like, "No way, man! You're gonna kill me." He's like, "Well, if I kill you, then we'll both drown." Halfway across, and he stings him. He's like, What do you do? He's like, well, you knew what I was when you put me on your back. Didn't seem to work. No, because you can't. He's a narcissist. It's not, at this stage, it's not even his fault because he doesn't understand. He's so enveloped in his ego. It's like an addiction. It's like my mother was such an alcoholic and she had a terrible, terrible, terrible death. And I go back and it's like she didn't know. She really didn't know. It's the addiction, ego, narcissism, selfishness, it's all addiction. And at a certain point, you become overwhelmed by it and blinded. It's a shame. God, I like to hear that, brother. Oh yeah, let me do the thing. I always forget. Hit the like up, the likes and the thumbs up and all that stuff for the algo gods, and keep me in the biz. I really appreciate the comments most, though, the truth. But the algo gods don't. They like other things. Yeah. I'm an acronym, an old time guy. You and your fellow Dolphin coming. Oh no, that's Monday night. That's Monday night. Monday night. We do the Monday. We do Monday 7:45. Yeah, Cody, Dirk, Abel. Who else am I missing? Jason. Yeah, Monday night, 7:45. Those guys are really great. When you're scouting a player, how important? Oh, it's a game. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. Now, you offset it. For me, it's like I know I love video games, and it's like you make your guy. He's got the strength and the agility and the endurance. You can make them all kinds of ways, but whatever way you accentuate those different bars, it's got to just work. And balance is critical. Brew's got great balance, but his size and his strength is so limited that the great balance isn't enough. So you need just enough balance to manage yourself, but power, toughness, strength, it's all, those are the most important keys for me, especially on the offensive line. If you got great balance and you got great strength, you're a Hall of Famer. But I would rather have a guy a little more powerful and a little less balance than a guy with less power and a little more balance, unless he's a center and then you surround him with powerful guys, because it's just about that. The game of football it always comes down to the phone booth. It always comes down. It's a predator's sport. It's a sport of hunting for weakness, and you can't be weak. You can't not handle power on the offensive line. So I love balance. Yeah, it's huge. But I would say maybe a little bit bigger than that would be power. Or just the ability to handle. If you got enough, if you have like average strength and you have great technique and you have really good balance, then that's a combination that can work at certain positions depending on who you're paired with. But great balance and poor strength, it should be a tight end, And Brewer is really good, man. He's a good guy. He's a good guy to have on a team. I think he's a really nice guy, hard worker. But at a certain point, man, you just, I remember after college, after college, I was playing like the flag ball thing. And I was always like, most of these guys, they never play ball or whatever. So I would dominate. I would pretend like I'm John Randall, like get 50 sacks a game or whatever. I was still like big from playing college and everything. And I worked out. I would just toast these guys. Either I would be faster than them or stronger than them or both. And then I played in this league that went to Giants Stadium, and these guys were like legit. And I was a cornerback at that time. And we just couldn't get any pressure. I'm like, let me, I went back to the pass, let me do it. But the guy who was going against was like 6'4". So he played D1 football. And this guy, I was faster than him, but his technique was unbelievable. And he was just a monster. He like put me on the ground. I was embarrassed. I've only been embarrassed in football maybe 2 or 3 times. And that was one of the most embarrassing things that I've ever experienced. And I was totally delusional. So, you got the power's key. How about drafting trench play this year and finding skilled players next year? You can't, in my humble opinion, it's like life. You can run scenarios through your head, but everything comes unexpected. You never know what's going to fall into your lap, and you just got to be able to handle that moment. And so, like a lot of people say, with that 13th pick, we got to get a trench player. But really, you could get that trench player, and then the next position group you get, the talent's so far down, and then the next after, because you're going to need cornerbacks and D. So for me, I don't like Kelvin Banks. I don't like him. I mean, I think he's pretty good, but I don't like moving him inside when he hasn't played there. I'm concerned about his size. I mean, if Membo goes there, definitely take him at 13. If Campbell goes there, definitely take him 13. But they're not going to get there. If I'm calling it correctly, I've talked about the cycles changing. They're going to go grab. Lineman early. So I think you got to get a right guy at that early spot. And then there's guys in that second round. I just don't think we're going to grab them there. There's some really good guys in the second round at guard spot you can get. Maybe you need a little trade up, maybe not. 7A is balanced when he ran for. Yeah, he's got great balance, but he struggles with power and he has short arms. And so it's a little concern for me. I'm not saying I didn't really study him enough. I'm not going to say that, but we need guys with power. And if the guy does short arms and lacks power, that means he's got to give more of his body because he's got the shorter arms, and then he's going to throw himself off balance, and then his good skill set's going to be taken away if it plays out the way I see it. But I don't know. I got to really watch his film. But that's my concern with him. In his draft, I thought last year's draft for offensive line was better, in my humble opinion. I'm no expert. Curtis, with that guard, no, too slow. I mean, he's great. I would draft him instantly. Dude, I would definitely, if Membo was there, I draft him and Booker in second, and I would be like, I'm done with this 80% outside zone. But he's going to, and you could in a way, if you had Booker and you put him next to Paul and you made that your strong side, it would be a tell. Guys would know you kind of struggle a little bit for the outside zone. He's not terrible. I just don't think, I think that they're going to go with what they're going to go with, which is what they've always been going with. Paul is a little bit of an exception, but I think they're just going to go a heavy outside zone. And I don't want them to draft guys for heavy outside zone because honestly, I don't think they're going to last too much longer. And then the new regime is going to come in and they're going to want pass balance. They're going to want inside zone heavy, or they're not going to run 80% outside zone. But Booker's a darn good, but he has trouble getting to the second level. He has trouble getting on the move. Not terribly, but he's slow. And his vertical was like 20 something, low 20s. He's a big guy, but you can run it. But I mean, honestly, if you think about it, draft him anyway. And when these guys are gone, the other people will come in and he'll be a guy you keep. Because honestly, the only guy you're going to keep from this offensive line is going to be Paul if this regime gets moved out. Brewer's gone. Jackson's gone. Daniels will be gone. So Paul's the only guy who's really, I think he's actually better in inside zone than outside zone. Would you rather have an average athlete at CB, but they're secure tacklers, or a freakish athlete with size, but their weakness is tackling? Depends on who you have around them. So if you had, a unit around them that's really good tacklers, and you have this one freakish guy who can cover and just lock down a side if you're playing man, or maybe cover three where they're staying high and the height, allows them to get into the receiver or forced to throw a little bit higher over him if he's playing under. Yeah, but if I have a whole team of bad tacklers, well, it depends on look, if you're playing zone, you want more secure tacklers. If you're playing man, your corners just want them freakish cover guys. So it depends on the defense, I'd say. Right now, I don't know. It depends, because Weaver really just, and Alf really drove it into me, because if you go and you look at Ravens, they ran a lot more blitzing, but he kind of likes the zone a little bit more, a lot more actually. And when you're in zone, it's a little different. You don't always need these super cover guys because you're not running a lot of man where it's like you're expecting this guy to go on his own, or you could run half man, in zone, depending on when the blitz comes and stuff like that. But so it depends. Like if I'm running Tampa 2, I want the tackler. I don't need a freakish cover guy. But if I'm running Brian Flores' system, 0 with guys on an island at the edge, man, I don't care about the tackling. So, are the Dolphins position draft? They have so many needs; they can do both. That's the beauty of this season. That's the beauty. Honestly, I do think that it's getting so bad that the only thing left is good. You know what I mean? Like this Tyreek Hill thing is just another thing. And if we have a bad season, it's going to get so bad. It's going to have to, you can't be that dysfunctional and bad without change. So I'll use a little hopium there. Maybe Ross and the way he does things are going to screw it up. I don't know. Maybe he sells. Maybe he gives it to his daughter. I don't know. I'm trying to grab a little bit of straws. But we can grab both. To me, you need D tackle, you need corner, safety. You need offensive line, but you can get those 3 in the first round, and then that second round, you can find. I think there's some great guard talent. I don't think we'll draft it. I think there's some great D tackle talent in the second round. Great. I think you can come out with a really high chance to having a quality starting corner and defensive tackle if you go cornerback first. Jedi Barron would fit really, really well with what we want to do because we do run all these zones. So, hey, Deuce Walt, what's going on? Oh, wait, I know you're not there. Oh, hey, Abel, what's going on? I was clicking on the wrong one. Abel, how you doing, my brother? Thank you for really pushing me towards Sarney. He's just such a nice guy. He's a New Yorker, so we get along really well. I really enjoy that guy, man. I really, really do. How you doing? See you on Monday or soon. You're the best, Abel. I appreciate that. Dude, Abel was like every week. Come on, Curtis. I think you gotta, try to. He was like patient with me. He was like super. You could tell he's a dad, chilling. I like that. Yeah, he's got hands, arm length. I thought I saw you had short arm length. I read in the thing on short arm length. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna look into that. I saw that he had struggle with power though, but I'm gonna look into that. I might be wrong. Thanks, brother. I'm gonna go check that. Thanks, Dad. That's a crazy thing to say. Things are so bad. They have to. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's got to ultimately come full circle. It's got to. There's no way that we, at some point, and I'd be dead and buried or have a heart attack, over there. But at some point, it's going to go well. And, we got to, stick by, like I say someday, like, what's a great guy I talk to all the time. He's like, what's the matter? Just who cares? So I care because those bastards that are screwing us up with certain people here and certain people there and certain people in the organization, whatever. If you give up, then they get the free reign and they do what they want. You got to keep the Vivas de Resistance or whatever the heck it is. I don't know, some French thing. So 1 foot in the casket. Feels like me sometimes. Good evening. Octane Genius. I like that one. That's a good one. That's creative. That's creative, Octane. Good evening, brother. How you, man? I like that. I got to do more. It is what it's going to be, man. I got some really interesting stuff coming for you guys. I'm an animator and an artist and stuff. So I'm not 100%, but I think I'm going to be breaking out some Dolphins animation soon. I'm going to be taking something in a different road. Before I get done with this thing, I'm going to have some fun. So we'll see. It is what it is. They let me go. It is. What am I going to do? I was all upset about it for a while. But it's just a weird environment, the whole thing. That's why I'm really excited about trying to do this animation thing, having some good, funny cartoons. because it's just a way of reaching the general people. I think maybe I dig too deep or I fixate on things too much. And it is just like a certain weird high school vibe to the people in this content space. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's a weird thing. So we'll see. Whatever God has planned, how it works out. Hey, sub. If you haven't sub, please. I want to do this. I love it. I love it. I used to love going. I love it back in the day. It was 10-cent wings. I would wait all week, all my friends, because couldn't get it on your own TV. You had to go to the bar and I had the satellite, sit down, eat. Who could eat the hottest wings? They're so cheap. You play football in the morning, flag football, and you go watch the games. Oh, it was the best, man. I miss that. And that's what I get. I feel like when I get with you guys, I hate doing the video thing and I hate having a jockey for stuff, but I love talking with people football, man. It's great. It's the best. With the loaded DT class, I expect a lot of vet DTs to be released in the second wave. Yeah, but they're not going to release good one. I mean, are they going to be here next year? Probably not. Are they going to be good enough to like get us over the top? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe, but no one gives up DTs and no one gives up offensive linemen that are good. They give up like the retreads and stuff, or guys with real problems, injury problems, are old. And then, if you figure the guy is good, he's going to come here. We don't have money. We're not really a class to win. I hate to be negative. I just want to be honest, Really, the victory, I think, for Dolphin fans and for the Dolphins, we've got to really just see this thing. I do think Marvin Allen, there's a great guy, Rich. He constantly talks to me. He's an awesome dude. And he really, him and Alf showed me that the two best drafts that the Bills ever had was when he was there. And that was with Allen, and they had the big draft class. And then he was there with KC. And Marvin Allen's a real football guy. He's not polished. He tries, but he's a football guy. But I like him. And I think there's a chance that he might take over. And you're still going to get the Ross thing and the corporate thing. But going from Teflon Timmy, Chris Greer, to a real football guy who's got a real track record, if he drafts right, he might have the juice because, Ross does want to win. He just doesn't know how to, and he just goes from here to there because the winds keep blowing left and right. So I do think there's hope. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's there 100%, but Marvin Allen, this guy Champ Kelly, they're football guys. They played, they got beat, they got hurt. They understand. When you get, like I didn't play at a high level, but I went to military school. I was a martial artist. There's a code. There's a certain code. There's a certain understanding. And Greer doesn't have that. He's the guy who always was around football players, and he had to kind of try to be the smartest guy to compensate for his shortcomings. And he doesn't understand the pain. That's why he always tries to draft these, nice guys and, GQ guys and, athlete guys. He doesn't understand the broken fingers, the pain, Look, this is a warrior sport. So I do think there's hope. Just got to hope. Alf said there's a chance they can get rid of this Greer guy after the draft. And is he really running the draft? Maybe not. Maybe Champ Kelly and Marvin Allen is. Maybe that's a pipe dream. Maybe it's hopium. Maybe not. We'll see. You'll be able to watch this draft and by who we pick and how we maneuver to know who's really in charge. And I wouldn't be unsurprised, or I wouldn't be too surprised to find out, hey, we're doing something different. And maybe they'll give Greer the kudos of having his final draft and just say goodbye. Who knows? I don't care. But I think Marvin Allen takes over and Champ Kelly's there. I think there might be some chances. Ross is always going to be Ross, but he might pull back. He's getting older, and maybe he sees these guys are not schmucks. He got very nervous around Parcells. He was very obliging to Harbaugh. I think he respects football guys. So, but Ireland wasn't a football guy. Tannenbaum wasn't a football guy. Joe Philbin, like, should have been like the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz. But these guys are tough guys. So I think there's a chance. Start a Patreon, Curtis. Keep the spirit up. Yeah, I'm going to try to do something, man. I'm going to try to do something, brother. I'm rolling out some stuff. I'm going to try to get my first animation. Don't quote me on it. But I'm going to try to get my first animation out before the draft. I got a funny one, dude. I got a bunch of funny stories to tell through my animations. We'll see, though. Lock and jackpot. I like the jackpot, man. I could use a jackpot. Curtis, do you think last year's results were the truth about our long-term, or was it just a hiccup? Oh, no, look, I've been saying it since 2022. When the season started, before offseason, I said 2022 is our peak talent season. 23 is our peak talent season. And I said 24, we're going to start falling apart. We might be able to drag it to 25, but the bolts are going to be coming off. And I don't want to mention it again, but if you go through all our draft picks, there were so many misses that it was just clear. It was obvious. I said, if we don't sign Wilkins and Hunt in 22 and Van Ginkel likely, they're gone. I wasn't right about Van Ginkel. He didn't get a big contract, but I was definitely right about the other two. It was just so clear. I got many videos about it. And a lot of people saying, no. Omar Kelly gets a lot of grief, but he talked about a cap apocalypse, but then they don't see it because they're not really analyzing. Why do you think you let Wilkins and Hunt go? And all that money you were pushing forward with Tehran and Tua and Ramsey and whoever else, all that stuff got pushed forward. We had 30 million dead cap this year, and I maybe last year too. So yeah, no, we're done. It's over. We're rebuilding. They won't say that. Oh man, hold on a second. There's a good one up here. Oh, did my lights go out? Did the lights go out? Yeesh. Did the lights go out, Nana? Is the internet out? You guys there still? Oh, goes figure. Are we still live here? Yeah? I don't even know. Do we go out? Is the lights out? What's going on? No, I think we're good. I think I'm still there. All right. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. Sorry. Still live. I live in the mountains, man. Stuff goes out all the time. So annoying. Can't tell. Anyway, still a jackass. I hear Tua is training with Liam at a full product. Hey, I'm trying to get to the top. Oh, here we go. There's a good one up here I'm trying to get. And he's insight. Hold on a second. Any insight on I can't click on you because I got a mouse pad over here. It's not so hot. Champ Kelly had a pretty decent he was the one who drafted what's his face, the terrible to trade up with Chicago Bears, the quarterback. I can't remember the guy's name. He was terrible and it gutted his drafts for a few years. But he made some things. He made, I'm not totally high on him, but I don't think he's taken over. I think Marvin Allen's taken over. Thanks, man. It's always the same with me. I'm a tech jackass. It's freaking terrible. Always waiting for the lights to go out. But he's going to come in and in my opinion, he's going to come in. He's going to back up Marvin Allen. Marvin Allen's getting his due. Reggie McKenzie left, and a lot of people say he was jumping ship. But there's another way to look at it. Like, he realized Greer's gone, and it was two girls, and Ross picked Marvin Allen and not McKenzie, and that's why he left. So I don't know. I'm not super high on Champ Kelly, but he's very young, but I am high on. He played. He knows the defensive back group, and he'll train under Marvin Allen. Yeah, Trubisky. That was a disaster. Now, I don't know. maybe that was he was part of that because I think he was the GM at the time or he was the head of college scouts. I can't remember right now. But Marvin Allen's got a darn good resume for quarterbacks. So if that's his hole, Marvin Allen's the best guy to have there. I asked somebody in a no, but I never got the answer. Who did Marvin Allen? I think that's a really good question. Who did Marvin Allen want in the 2020 draft? I don't know. I have a tendency to think he might have wanted somebody other than Tua. Not to say Tua's bad, but just simply because he has a particular prototype, it seems. How hard would it be to switch to inside zone? It's easier. Inside zone's easier. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult from a intellectual standpoint and a physical standpoint. It's easier on an athletic standpoint. But if we were to change to inside zone, the skill sets, the talents, the physical talents wouldn't be there for inside zone. Brew would have to go unless you had two like stud guards next to him, which you could maybe do, Jackson's terrible. There's some guys I like, but you just go back and watch him on any inside zone or when he's manned up or something. He constantly gets overwhelmed. He's terrible. And then Daniels, he's okay. And he's good on the move a little bit. He's pretty good on the move. He's pretty big. He's scrappy. But we would have, the only person I would keep would be Paul. Everybody else, all the backups, all the starters would be gone. I could keep Daniels for a year if you get me, but he wouldn't, go look at when, people, he played 4 games last year that were pretty good. He was terrible a year before with the Steelers and he was terrible with Chicago. He'll be good because we'll throw quick and we'll do outside zone all day. So I think you could do it. You probably, but it's the physical part. You can't fake the physical. Heard Flores actually wanted Love. It was Greer who wanted Watson. Well, I don't know. Everybody tells you you're an idiot. If you say something different than what they say, that you're an idiot. I think Greer wanted Watson because Greer doesn't look. I didn't know about it, but Hill broke his kid's arm and was hitting women, and he went out and traded the world for him. All I know is Flores says that he, I had one guy content provider who I respect, who just like disrespected me because I said, I'm like, you're telling me your opinion that Flores wanted Watson, but you got no proof. But how does Flores, who's already getting pushed out the door, the GM already cut Van Noy to spite him, how does he have the juice to go tell the owner, go fly out there and go get Watson and spend the entire draft and multiple drafts? He doesn't have the juice. And he said over and over again, Tua's my guy. Character matters. Oh, no, it's always like whatever Flores says is wrong. But Greer, he went out and got Hill, who's just like Watson, maybe worse. A nice guy who was a comment with me. He said, I love your stuff, but it was like a pinhead thing saying that Watson, Hill is worse than Watson. To me, if you hurt your own family, you're worse than a guy who's going to hurt girls in a massage thing. Because, even the Iceman, the mass murderer, killer Iceman would never hurt his own family. You protect your family, you protect kids. They're both terrible people. It's like, debating, who's worse, Hitler or Stalin. I mean, not literally, but figuratively. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I don't believe the whole thing that, I got a different belief in some people, I think Flores probably wanted the tackle in Love. And then he said, well, we're going to go get Tua. And a lot of people who hate Flores said Greer would never go out and get a quarterback he totally wasn't into. So I'm sure he had, his first choice would have been go get the tackle, who turned out to be very good, and go get Love. But then once he got Tua, he always looked very happy when he said but he wanted to develop him, but he never got the chance because somebody stepped in. Hey, Phil, what's going on? How you doing? Probably would not. No. I think he could. I mean, look at oh my Lord, my brain is fried. Warwick Dunn. And remember, inside zone doesn't mean you're not running outside. It's just the aiming point and the blocking technique. So if a running back's aiming at the tackle, that's outside zone. but you can attack the tackle and pitches and counters, and there's all ways to attack the outside. I think he's a hard runner. I think that you could have him in inside zone, and because you'd have Wright banging it. Maybe give him a couple times inside and banging it, and all of a sudden you go outside a counter. I don't know what we had some counters a couple years ago, and they were beautiful. He'd work great on a counter. He'd work great on a pitch outside. I think he'd work good on inside. We don't have any blockers. You know, I mean, you don't want to do it too much because he's a smaller guy. But plus, I think he could end up being like a Hill, where he's catching a football more than he's running it. The guy's super talented, man. Do you hear about Tyreek in the news lately? Yeah, I did a podcast on it. Holy egg rolly. Holy egg rolly. I like that. Thanks. How's it going? Yeah, I did a podcast. The guy's a jerk. He's a bum. He's a bum. I gave him a couple of chances as far as like saying, hey, look. But at this stage, the guy's a bum. He's a lowlife. You know, I hope he repents. I hope he changes. But the guy's a loser. You hear the audio of his wife screaming in the background and stuff. It's horrible, man. What you do in this life echoes through eternity. I don't care about your stupid football life. It's how you treat people. I feel bad for him. At one point, he's going to kind of, whatever it is, whether it's this side of the veil or the other side of the veil, he's going to come to realize how he screwed things up. I just hope the guy repents. I hope the guy wakes up. What percentage of all offensive snaps do you think our RB will get? We can't run inside zone. Not much. He's a one-cut inside zone guy. His best stuff is A and B gap with a little C. He doesn't have the speed to break it to the outside. He can get there, but he doesn't have the speed like Mostert and A-Chan just to run past bad blocks and get to the edge consistently. And he struggles with hard cutbacks, 90-degree cutback. He might get a 45. So he's got to get inside zone, but you do from the draw and stuff like that. But if you don't, it's inside zone. It's a shame. He's a really good back, man. I like him. I'm not saying great, but I could play. He's big. He's a freak. Put him on a good inside zone team, and this guy would be who he's supposed to be. But that's Greer. 2 fourth-round picks. I got the talent. I look smart. But then you can't accentuate what he's got. Greer's, there's something wrong with him, man. I don't know what it is. I think it's like he thinks he's a rotisserie team or Madden football. And why should we not draft another? We shouldn't draft another RB because any running back will tell you the line makes the running back. There's a few out there that are special that can make a little bit more, but your offensive line's not capable. This is not a capable offensive line. It's not. It's one-dimensional, and in a one dimension it could do, if it wasn't for the huge, insane speed of the receivers setting the leverage and a running back getting to the edge, it would be disastrous. And not much has improved so far, especially if you got Eichenberg starting, what it looks like, unless they get somebody. But if they're grabbing a guy in the 4th round, you think that guy's coming in and taking a Eichenberg spot? Maybe. Am I betting on it? No. So, you want to say, I argue with people all the time. It's not about the offensive line. It's just called football. It starts in the trenches. It's like chess, the pawns. You got your flashy queen, you got your important king, you got your rooks, your knights. Those are all the big pieces. But without the pawns, they ain't getting nothing done. It's the trench warfare. It sets any running back who's run behind poor offensive line knows. Any quarterback, it sets the difficulty level. You don't need 5 or 10. If you got 15th and it's balanced, they can inside zone, outside zone, a little true pass set, a little extended pass blocking, and then they all do it pretty good. And you got average across the board at every starting position, and you got some 2 or 3 guys that average at depth. Then you're good. It's the skills. But when you're every step below that average level, it just gets incrementally harder, and it's week in and week out. And we are been bottom 5 year after year. It was a little bit better when you had Tehran, Connor, and Hunt, but then you had 2 guys that sucked at tackle and guard, no tight end blocking, and no depth. So you get the offensive lineman could play 10, 12 years. Running backs, they grind up real quick, especially when they got no O-line. You go get yourself your offensive line. You don't sacrifice a good player. You try to get the best players at each spot, but you build it up. And you build that offensive line. The difficulty level lowers on the skills. And then the time of possession then happens and the defense gets rested. Offensive line makes the NFL world go round. The more I say it, the less views I get. But honestly, people don't understand the game of football if they don't realize that, because it's a, what do you think the red zone is so hard? Because it's compact space. The agility and speed isn't really as important. It's about the guys inside blowing dudes out, banging them hard, digging them out of there and then getting those points. That's why we suck. Because once we stop getting those quick points, then we had to earn it. And we couldn't. We got put in a phone booth and they took advantage of us like a greased monkey. Yeah, hit the like button. I like that. Hit the like button. All that, guys. I need that, man. I hate to do that. I feel bad selling, but I got no choice. So please hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. No, he does. He's mentally, he's not well. He's got clinical narcissism. I'm no expert, but I've been studying it for a long time. I've known a lot of crazy people, maybe me included. No, he's in a bad state. It's overriding his natural, because any person who it's a guy and he's close to a woman, it's his natural nature to protect her. It's his natural nature to protect his offspring, but he's just going out sleeping with all these women and having all these kids. Like, what's it's narcissism. Narcissism's a powerful drug. Cocaine's a powerful drug, but narcissism might even be more powerful. So I hope I didn't offend anybody about the offensive line talk, but it's the truth, guys. It's the defensive line. It's the offensive line and then defensive line. It's the most important positions in the game because the cornerbacks, they can't cover all day. Defense back can't cover all day. Linebackers can't take blockers. The edge players, they've got to get the blocks pulled inside so they're one-on-one. And then obviously we know on the offensive side, it's this game. It's a physical game. It's a brutish, brutal, violent, semi-militaristic, predatory sport. It's about hurting people, dominating them, driving them into the ground until they submit. And you don't do that by run screens and having deep plays and flashy end rounds and triple reverses. That's not how it works. Like, I don't get it. There's some big time content problem, like try to argue with them. I don't know, man. I watched the game forever. Every time I watched it from a kid, that's all they would talk about. All my coaches would talk about. And suddenly, like the last 3-4 years, it became like passe. Phil, what's going on? How much of it is coaching? Packers always seem to have Pro Bowls in the O-line. The freaking Packers weren't dumb enough to pass on Zach Tom like us. For Tyndall and Easy. Obviously, look, we got green guys. No one wants to come here. We got to pick the fruit before it's even ripened, and hopefully it hits the ground and it ripens for us. But then there's the talent. Zach Tom, all you had to do is pick. How could you miss? Zach Tom was in for interviews. Greatest metrics in 30 years, 40 years. We run outside zone. It was like he was gift wrapped. The gods of football gift wrapped it, rang the bell, and then sent a telegram message, draft this guy. And we're just like, huh? Oh, give me Easy. Give me Tyndall. So yeah, it's coaching. It's talent, though. The game's about horses. We don't have enough horses. And the horses we get, we spend way too much on, and we don't get enough of them. Zach Tom. We chose Eichenberg over Cosme. They're like 4 or 5 picks behind us or something. Guy's a stud. Washington collapsed as soon as he went down. If he was in, they might have won last year against Philly. What's his face? The center. I can't remember his name now. For the KC. I mean, we're semi-retarded. Like Tropic Thunder. Don't go full retard. We live in full retard. Octane G. I like that one, man. I still do. I like that. One surefire way to get a Super Bowl win that's never stated is if you're a fourth a quarter running team that nobody can stop, you have very strong chance to win the dance. Yeah. And it's not, it's like, even if you aren't like super successful, you got to remember that slight success forces the players and the DC to account for it. And once they account for it, it cracks the door. And the more successful you are, the bigger that door cracks open. But if you have no success, they leave. They don't even, you could have the door wide open and they're not even going to like be there because they know you can't even do nothing. And that's what they do with us. I got to get my video out. It's just a lot of work. And I've been doing this animation thing. But you just watch from the Denver game. The ends go out farther. Linebackers go deeper. They space it out. They leave the center and just the book. You guys want to know how to rate your team? Watch the defensive book of opposing defenses week in and week out. And if you see different books every week, then you know that people are having a hard time with you. Occasionally you might see like, the same book 2 or 3 weeks and it changes because the team sucks. But literally out of 16 games or 18, 17 games you play, like the book is like 15 games is the same book. These guys are pros. They look at the LDCs. They see what they did, what works and what doesn't. And when the same book is codified and replicated week in, week out, then it's like you're found out. They know what you are. And the book is, we can't run inside, play the linebackers totally deep, play the linebacker safeties high leverage, play out wide. We could do about 5 things. We run screens, outside runs, pocket post, flies, 4 things. That's it. So you just play your safeties high, take away the deep pass. You play your linebackers deep, so you take the pocket post, and now Tua can't draw the deep outs, so you just leave that a little vacant, and you crunch the middle, and then you can't throw over the middle. And then you take your ends, you put them wide, and there you got free space to the screens and the outside runs, and then the linebackers are so deep, they get the pocket post for the drop, and then they got the free run to the edges. It's like you got a limited menu. It's like Battleship. If you've sunk a couple of battleships, you got a couple of pins in them. It's like, you know where it is. It's over. That's us. As a Bills fan, oh, yeah, me too. I take that over what I'm getting right now. I remember I hated you guys back then. I did. It's like, who are these Bills, man? I was so busy with hating the Jets for all those years. Like, who are these Bills? And there's Bills. I actually rooted for you to beat the Cowboys. I think the second one because I got sick of them. I forgot why. I couldn't say. Bruce K, what's going on? From each according to his ability to each according to the needs. Greer probably. Yeah. I don't. If you think about it, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I like that. I'm going to try to break down something. From each according to his ability to each according to their needs. Yeah, needs. We don't have much ability and we have lots of needs. That football LDL. It is. Everybody knows that. Man, Bruce, you got me thinking, man. I can't do double duty there, man. It's a good one. I don't really consider that one. It's just the trenches. Able. Like the Texans coach last year, knew our offense play. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We go back and watch a Texans game. Tua gets the line of scrimmage as a pass play, and the linebacker. There was one play where the linebacker was 6 yards from the line of scrimmage, and the corner and the other linebacker was 5 yards. And they were playing high leverage at the safety, cover 2, and it was a pass. Like that was like, and the Edens were out wide. It's an inside run. You get the line of scrimmage, you call inside run on that. We can't. We have no audibles. Billy D. Yeah, I know. I got perplexed over there, man. Man, I really tested the boundaries of my brain. Billy D, man. Oh, I remember the movie I was thinking about. I forgot it again. What was the name of that? I got to find that now. All right, 1 second, guys. Billy D. Williams. I remembered the other day, and Diana Ross movie. What was that even? Mahogany. That was it. I remembered it the other day. That was a great movie, man. My mother used to make me watch it all the time. It was good. Billy D was so smooth in that. Diana Ross was so cool in that thing. I love Billie Holiday. She's one of my favorites. My mother used to love her, man. Play her all the time. On the old records, man, with the scratch. The Jets will always have a special place of hate. Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. I told you I recorded the Spike ball game, and I would watch that thing until I was blue in the face. I laughed. I loved it because all I had is Jet fans around me, so that's why I hate it. But like the Bills, they had OJ in the 70s, but my brain hadn't even like formed at that point. I didn't really even understand what the hell was going on in football until like 83, 84 or something, maybe even 85. I don't know. I think it was just still like a fog. So it was just all about that. And the Patriots, I didn't pay attention to them. It was the Jets. I hate the Jets. So anyway, guys, that's it. I guess you guys any more talk. I appreciate this, man. I got to go back to Bruce Key's thing over there and like meditate on it, smoke a doobie and think about it. I don't do that stuff, but, so guys, I appreciate hanging out with me. You guys are the best. Some great stuff. Just have some hope. Let's see. And look, if Greer's still here after the draft, I'll be a little more dour. But maybe you see a little different draft execution and style. And maybe you see some hits. And maybe Marvin Allen is the guy taking over. Now, maybe I'm Superman or whatever, and I'm going to come save the season on my own. I don't know. But maybe, gotta say maybe, Let's see. But this draft is huge. It's either going to sink us or maybe give us a little hope. In the old days, man, smash it. Yeah, Hammer, dude. That's my man, Hammer. Dude, Hammer's been around with me. I remember you, Hammer, in like 21. Dude, Hammer, he's an ancient guy with me, man. Hammer's the man. He used to be a Dallas fan. Don't think I don't remember? You're a Dallas fan, right? You dumped those guys for the better team. Look, back in the day, dude. I thought it was Jim Morrison when I had hair. You should see pictures of me. Dude, I was reading Rimbaud, writing poetry, man, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I stopped after, when I went back to football. I had 2 or 3 years of like, what's a Riders on the Storm lifestyle. Yeah, hit a like up, man. All right, guys, you're the best. Thank you. I'm going to go hang out with my wife. I really appreciate everything, guys. Be well. Get ready for this draft. And let's just have some hope. You'll probably get crushed like a bug, but you never know. Anyway, good night, all. Thank you for everything.